Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a very wonderful day today. So today, I want to showcase the Chikuma 2. Now the Chikuma 2 is obviously, as you know, a steel ship, but I got it from a golden containers actually. If you watch my previous Santa container opening, you will know when I get this ship. And I do believe that this ship is, if you are buying for steel, is not worth it, guys. Okay, I'll just say it straight up. This ship is not as strong as other hybrids like the Kearsarge, in my opinion at least. Now, why is that? Essentially, what you have here is a Tone at tier 9, in my opinion at least. Now, you have better planes than the Tone because the Tone drops like a lot of torpedoes but very low damage ones compared to, you know, the Chikuma's two planes where you drop two torpedoes but very high damaging ones, right? So let's talk about first about the HP first, right? Let's talk about the airplanes later on the video. The HP is very low for tier 9 heavy cruiser standard. You only have 38.9k HP without any other, buffs. Okay, I'm not running survivability experts in this build because this is a new captain, right? Because I want to build for plane regenerations, and obviously I don't have any other heavy Japanese heavy cruiser captain that have that skill on. So yeah, this is a new captain. I believe it's only a 14-point captain. I might be wrong. I don't know. Anyways, the HP is very low, right? It is comparable to Ibuki, so that's kind of still a heavy cruiser, right? A IGN heavy cruiser, but the only one lower than you is actually the super lights, like the Talion, the Seong, and the Hector. Okay, so definitely not winning any contest there. For the ship detecto, however, it is very good at 8.8 kilometers fully built. I ran the concealment mod and concealment expert as well, and it is very good at 8.8. I believe that it is the stealthiest cruiser at this tier, except maybe the Numancia if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so it's also quite fast actually at 35.5 knots base speed, and usually ships like the American ones only have 32, but the Japanese usually have 35 knots. So this is quite good for the ship. That means that you can reposition quite well between maps and try to fill the gaps left behind by your team, and you can throw into the enemy. Now, for the HE DPM on this ship, it's quite tragic. It's not even quite anymore. It's very tragic at only 99,000 HE DPM. That means it is actually closer to Aegir and then the Breast. But the problem is with all of them is that they have higher caliber guns. So they have higher fire chance, they have higher everything. So it is fine that they don't really have good HE DPM. Plus, granted that they can also pan more, and A-Gear is not an HE focused ship anyways, right? Plus the Breast has reload booster, so essentially any other ships below you have other ways to mitigate the not so great HE DPM. But you, on the other hand, you only have that 99,000 HP HE damage. For the AP damage, however, you are the worst. You are the worst than by a far margin, actually, right? So that's is in essence your Chikuma 2 is like a Tone, a cruiser that doesn't do cruiser things, because cruisers still have high DPM, high damaging guns, right? For you, it's actually the opposite, right? You want to your most of the damage actually comes from your torps, in my opinion, and maybe your planes and spotting. Your guns is just there because it is such a bad experience, guys, to shoot these guns. You can't kill anything with that a very low DPM, except maybe like low health destroyers or something, right? You cannot burn down battleships, etc., right? So that's kind of a problem. in my opinion, at least for the gunpowder of the ship. Now, speaking of the torpedoes, you got the 15-kilometer torpedoes. This is the same torpedoes that you got on the Takanashi, I believe, but you have more damage on them compared to Takanashi. Okay, you have the same 1.7 kilometer DTAC with 10.6 seconds reaction time, but what you have is a 60 knot torpedoes, a 105-second reload, and a 24,000 damage per torpedo hit. That means that if you hit them, one torpedoes can death strike a destroyer. Okay, it's amazing. But because of the 10 point seconds, 10 point, how many is it? Let me check my notes. 10.6 seconds reaction time, you will have a hard time hitting DDs. Okay, so yeah, it's more of like a Hail Mary type of deal if you want to shoot at DDs. But in my opinion, at least, you want to use the torpedoes to hit like battleships, etc., or pushing enemy ships. Okay, you also have torpedo bombers, right? This is the main gimmick of the ship, the hybrid style. Your torpedo bombers are very squishy, in my opinion. At least it's definitely not as tanky as a Shokaku planes, or I mean a Hakuryu planes. I believe because this is a tier 8 plane or offload plane, etc. I don't know, right? But essentially, this torpedo bombers is quite squishy. So if you are facing a good AA battleship, you might lose one plane. If you're facing like a blob of enemy ships, you will lose one plane. And if you have against a cruiser, you will lose all the planes. So yeah, but the torpedoes are quite good actually from the torpedo bombers. Your torpedo bombers drop 2 torpedoes with 15 knot each, which is very fast for aerial torpedoes. If you have played carriers before, 15 knot speed is very fast. But the problem with fast aerial torpedoes is your arming distance is massive at 671 meters. Of arming distance. This meant that if you drop on cruisers or destroyers, good luck hitting them. Okay, they will all have the time of their life trying to dodge your torpedoes. But against slow-moving battleships, especially Satsumas, Yamatos, Montanas, those with very slow rudder shift, you will be able to hit both of the torpedoes quite easily actually. Your dispersion on your torpedoes, as you look at the video, is quite good actually. It's more of a, in my opinion, a Hakuryu dispersion. When you move slightly, it will change like Hakuryu's plane, so it's definitely usable. As you can see there, I dropped 2 torpedoes on the Satsuma, dealing very little damage because of the torpedo protection on that ship, dealing only 5k with 2 torpedoes, but we damaged his engines, right? So back to the stats of the ship. Now the reload on the planes is actually 120 seconds, but I run the upgrade, etc. I forget how low I get the reaction time, the preparation time for the tactical squadron is. But definitely the base one is 120 seconds, but you can buff it up a bit. But the strength of this ship is because of your planes. You can scout things that other people can't do, like this daring, for example. Here I can scout it with my planes and drop 1 torpedoes, and as I said before, I take it back because for some reason this daring is quite stupid, and we managed to get 1 hit into him and killing him off and protecting the sea cap. So that's quite lucky actually, meeting a unaware daring player. Let's say it like that. Okay. Let's talk about the also I forgot to mention that when you launch the planes, it's actually launched with rocket boosters. So for the initial 5 seconds or so, your planes will be very, very fast. So that's why you want to aim your bow towards the enemy, because otherwise you will waste your rocket time trying to turn the planes away. Okay, now look at this game. I am facing a Shinano who is aiming at me, and there you'll see the worst AA on this ship, the bad AA on this ship. This is a hybrid ship, but it doesn't have good AA. Wait, now this AA is only like 3 flak if I'm not mistaken, and very only 76 long range DPS, which is so stupid. It's so low. So that means that the Shinano managed to kill, to hit our citadel. By the way, this is where the rocket boosters, you can see there, the rocket. We are traveling at 244 knots for a short period of time. I'm also boosting here. So yeah, back to the AA. So yeah, this ship doesn't have good AA, guys. So make sure to keep your smoke in case of enemy carriers, and you know you are good to go. For consumables, speaking of smokes, that is, you have one more heal than usual. Actually, you have standard DCP, standard cruiser DCP, 4 km hydro, so that you can spot torpedoes, etc. when you are in smoke, DFAA, and a smoke that is quite standard actually for Japanese, in my if I'm not mistaken, a 20-second runtime with 93-second duration on the smoke. So it's quite average smoke. It's not like the American smokes, but it's not as short as the British smokes, right? Also, you have the line characteristics, that is good accuracy on the main battery. You also have reasonable top angles. Now, it's not great, but it's usable. Okay, 38 to the front and 40 to the rear, so it's quite good compared to maybe Zhao pre-buff obviously, because it will get a buff later on. So I will also make a video on the Zhao if you guys are interested on that. And also, this have a very good turret angles pushing, only 26 degrees, but mediocre at kiting. So if you shoot over your shoulders, you will need to give a lot more broadside to compared to pushing in. But the problem is that if you get spotted, you get black. Okay, you have very poor poor HP, sorry, hit points. Your armor is coated in 27, so every single battleship except maybe like 15-inch ones can overmatch you. Yeah, even the Shinano AP bombers can overmatch you as well. So it's a really tough cruiser to play open water in, and it's a very tough cruiser to play with its strengths. Actually, if you open water and then you pop your planes, your ships are vulnerable to attack. But if it's fine if it's in Kearsarge, right? You have some armor, so even if you got hit, it's fine. But in Chikuma, if you left your your ship, and then a Vermont shot you, even angled, you can get death strike. Okay, so yeah, it's definitely quite hard ship to play actually, right? You don't actually have the overwhelming aerial power like the Hildebrand do, so you can't really be a substitute carrier like the Hildebrand do. So yeah, you are like in this like sort of back in between a Hildebrand and a Kearsarge. Okay, the Kearsarge guns still do damage, right? You still play it as a battleship, but your planes added more damage. But and you can left your ship to do its own thing because it still have armor, etc. So it is quite tanky. But compared to compared to Hildebrand, where it essentially becomes a replacement carrier, you don't have that same air power. So here you have such characteristics but don't have the armor. You have the Hildebrand's paper planes, but you don't have the aerial power. So yeah, it's definitely not a good ship, guys. So especially since this is a steel ship, if you're getting this from not from steel and not from center containers, I would not recommend this ship, because this ship is really hard to play, especially if the enemy team is quite good, okay? Because if the enemy team doesn't push to you, you will deal a very small amount of damage, right? In this game, I only deal about 40k damage, but for some reason, I got really good rewards there. I got 2.1 base XP actually, only lower than the Shinano. Maybe because I kept the points, etc., and I killed 2 ships. Now on to the next game here. Now enough of the stats, enough of the that I will show you guys in this section of the video my best games in the Chikuma, and I think this will be my last game trying to play the Chikuma because it is honestly one of the most horrendous experience, except when I played the Z44, which is even more horrendous than this ship. Okay, so yeah, we spawn on the seaside of this map. So we just push into to support our DDs because of our good concealment, and we managed to blab the Terrible a little bit with 3.2k. You still have really good HE alpha on this Japanese 203 guns, but yeah, definitely the HE DPM is quite lacking. Now we pop our torpedo planes here, trying to spot the enemy DDs, and we managed to spot this Akizuki here, who is smoking up, which is a mistake actually. If you see torpedo planes doing this, you shouldn't smoke up and slow down here, because it is such a predictable way for the torpedo planes to hit, and we managed to hit 2 hits right on the Akizuki, dealing like what, 12,000 minus 3,000, that's like 9,000 damage on that Akizuki there, probably getting hit both on the saturated part of the ship, so that's why the damage is not that great for 2 torpedo hits. Okay, and if we look at the torpedo dispersion previously, it is quite tight, so yeah, that's probably going to happen. So we still stay here behind this rock here, trying to launch the torpedoes on the gaps. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention it. We have 2x6, 2x3 torpedoes on each side, so that means around 12 torpedoes on both sides. Our planes are available again, so we launch them, trying to spot this La Terrible. Now this is what you want to do actually on hybrid ships, especially for weak gun ships like the Chikuma, is to spot DDs, to spot ships, to try and deal with high value targets, because you know that your guns are really not great. That's why you need to supplement that with plane damage and plane spotting. At the very least, you want to make your team win the game, and even though you don't really have good result yourself, at least it is still a win to pet your stat first of all, and also for better rewards for you. Now the enemy is on the strong flank in this side. Now this is why this game is quite good for me, at least. The enemy is pushing this side. If we are the one that is on the strong flank, then I probably won't have a good game. Now you can see there 2 battleships are pushing in, the Caracciolo and the Kearsarge Black, and the Kearsarge is quite a decent ship, but it's definitely not a close range battleship. Also, a Leon is also pushing. Okay, so yeah. Oh, by the way, this is a low tier, also a low tier match. We are top tier. That is why also our game is quite good in this ship. If we are facing super ships, it's going to be a problem. Okay. We drop torpedoes on the gap there, trying to hit both the Leon or the Kearsarge or anybody who is pushing that gap here. And yeah, we continue farming on our smoke here. Now this smoke is really good for us, because even though we have low DPM, at the very least we can launch our planes knowing that our ships won't be detected or be in danger here. Now I know this Leon will try to get behind the island, so I decided to try to bait him, to try to turn his ship back into the channel, trying to aim him away from the island so that my ship launched torpedo can hit him, and that seems to be the case here. If I look at this replay, I kind of forget what happened in this replay, but it seems that I can get a hit on the Leon because of my teammates manipulating of the Leon's trajectory. Now I deal quite little damage actually on the Leon, and I believe that is because the bow on the Leon is quite saturated. So that's why even though we have 24,000 24,000 torpedo damage, we don't actually deal that much damage. Okay, now the Leon grounded and only a little bit of health, so we move towards outside the island and shoot at the Leon, dodge his incoming salvo, and we didn't get any damage actually on that ship. We are still 38 full HP. I take it back. Yeah, the Aegir managed to get us on the Citadel, I believe, a little bit, or maybe a penetrating hit, I don't know, but he managed to deal quite significant damage on our ship, about 8k. So that's about what, 5% of our ships. Okay, so that's quite a good salvo there from the Aegir, especially since I just got spotted there, so he must have been pre-aimed at me. Now this enemy have the enemy have kept the sea cap, while we only left with Shanhorse 43 and our Lepanto there, so we are in kiting mode. Especially since the enemy has overmatching battleships against us, right? Both the Kearsarge, and Caranciolo can overmatch us 27mm guns, so we need to be extra careful, as well as the enemy having two destroyers on our side. Now I believe the Akizuki is moving closer to the B flank, but the Le Terrible here will stay and keep us spotted for their team. Okay. For the range itself on the Chikuma, I forgot to mention it as well. It's about 15 plus km range, so it's a normal Japanese heavy cruiser range. That means that you actually don't have that much range for tier 9. So yeah, you have bad armor, you have good shell arcs, and you have low range. So it's definitely a hard ship to play, right? As well as any other heavy cruiser actually on the Japanese side. It's really tough to play Ibukis, Mogamis, etc. So I'm actually quite respectful for people who can play that ships and be super unicum in that ships, because I certainly won't be able to. Now this Le Terrible here is really annoying farming our Lepanto here. Even though he have very low HP, but because of French saturation, etc., and our low DPM, we can't really deal that much damage to that ship, even though we aim quite properly actually. Now I know that my planes are up, but at this point I know that if I pop my planes, I probably will die soon because of my vulnerable ships. So I pop smoke here near the border, just so that I can farm this Aegir quite well, because he has popped his damage control actually, right? If we can set one more fire, he will burn for the entire duration, and as a battle cruiser, his fire duration is actually the same as a battleship. So yep, we set one fire, permanent fire, and because he is also a cruiser slot, he doesn't have fire prevention. So if we can able to get set another fire on him, that will be massive damage dealt on him. But sadly, I didn't got the torpedo, the fire, and I am distracted by the La Fantasque. The Le Terrible, and the Le Terrible actually burned down on Lepanto, so I am alone on this flank right now. So I need to scout for my own. I drop my planes and I try to aim at this Aegir here, trying to make him turn actually, try to get him turning so that he will hit our torpedoes. But it seems that the Aegir is quite smart, so he just decided to take the torpedo in the chin without dodging them, so that my ship torpedoes will actually miss. Our planes managed to regenerate again, So we want to drop it again on the Aegir here. Aegir is the primary threat for our sustainable life because he is actually inside our detection range. And as you can see there, I got detected just as I uh, return from my planes, and we slow down to dodge the Aegir shot. Now the Aegir cannot overmatch us, by the way, guys. So as long as we slow down and try to angle as best as we could, the Aegir won't be able to deal much damage to us, except maybe if he hits our superstructure. Okay. Now, Aegir does have cruiser level dispersion, but you know it's still quite tough actually for cruisers to try to hit this small of a superstructure on the Japanese cruiser, and we actually missed with the red Ripley by a little bit. We'll aim a little bit too low. If that will hit, I probably will kill that red Ripley, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, we are facing this Aegir here, so we drop one torpedo set, trying to gauge him if he's turning out, but I think he is maybe running hydro or something, so he doesn't turn into the direction of my torpedoes and actually turn on the other side to his right. And at this point, we set another fire on the Aegir, and he has damage control the earlier fire, so he will have a two permanent fires happening on his ship. We bounce his AP shell on our belt armor, and he also turned into our ships. Now we are border humping here. I'm sorry guys, but we don't have anywhere else to go. We pop our smoke, and we shot one torpedo set, two torpedo set, well actually only one torpedo set, yeah, only one torpedo set, aiming at the Aegir there. We are undetected, by the way, currently. So when I see how the Aegir move, I will shoot one more. And actually, because the Aegir have launched the sonar, so I decided to launch, but sadly the game ended. If I was to send that two torpedo spread just sooner, I'll probably be able to kill the Aegir. Okay, that's so sad. But at least we have 1000 base XP and about good amount of credits, so I should be happy. Anyways, that is all for this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you don't buy the Chikuma too with steel. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.